You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Well, welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It's your boy, Brian Fullerton here. And guys, I'm actually in a special location. I'm in Keith Kalfas' basement right now. I got the man, Keith Kalfas, sitting across from me. What's going on, Keith? How we doing?
What's up?
Awesome. So, guys, long story short, I don't know how you wouldn't know Keith Kalfas from the Untrapped podcast, the landscaping employee Untrapped YouTube channel, YouTube star and phenomenon. It's really, really cool to have this guy on the podcast and in studio. Keith, for anybody who maybe doesn't know you, why don't you just give him a quick bio, quick stats, 30, 60 seconds, let everybody know who you are and pretty much everything I just said.
What's up? This is Keith Kalfas. My YouTube channel is Keith Kalfas. I make landscaping, small business videos about breaking out of the 9-to-5, breaking out of literally feeling trapped in your life and becoming your own boss. I've made a couple thousand videos on the internet. We hit, 20 million views and been doing it for years. And now I have the Untrapped podcast. But what I talk about and what I do is I literally help guys get out of that trapped feeling in their life and help them break into entrepreneurship.
Heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah. Well, dude, there's with this podcast is going to be just me. If you guys want to buckle in and hang out with us for the next hour or so, like I said, I'm on location. I went over to Keith's house. It's a miracle that I'm even able to hang out with a guy like Keith. I really do respect him, his time. A lot of you guys know that I'm a Keith Kalfas junkie. Okay, I love everything that Keith puts out, and you know what? To be honest with you guys, a lot of the success I have from our training website, my YouTube channel, and just kind of success thought process in general, like I learned from Keith. And it's not lip service. That's not just me being in front of Keith and being on the mic. Like this is kind of a dream come true for me too. So without being an overly excited schoolgirl here, let's do this. Let's hit the announcements, and then we're going to dive a little bit more into Keith's story.
You're a lawntrepreneur. You run your mower and your business. Take care of crabgrass and your customers. You improve curb appeal and efficiency. You do it all. And now there's Cujo, a shoe that does it all too. Trash the grass-stained athletic shoes that can't stand up to slopes or dew. Put those stiff boots in storage and forget about the fatigue and discomfort they caused. You don't have to choose between lightweight comfort or water-resistant traction because the Cujo yard shoe is the best of both worlds. Every feature has been selected to optimize the performance and satisfaction of lawn care professionals. While you focus on laying killer stripes, we'll be there every step of the way. Check us out at Cujo.com, Kujo.com.
All right, guys. So like I said, going full circle to even just having Keith on the podcast, just super excited here. And a lot of you guys, like me, kind of grew up watching Keith. Honestly, Keith, probably old school, like 2015, 16, 17. Like that's when I kind of jumped on YouTube. And there was like 3 or 4 guys I was watching on YouTube, right? I was watching Geek to Freak, get Greg Chisholm, right? Some of Stanley Dirt Monkey. It was like the year of B&B Lawn Care. And there was you. And I just remember watching some of your earliest videos. They were so raw, so uncut, but dude, just motivational too. Like I know so many folks are like, dude, Keith Kalfas, what up, dog? And all this fun stuff. So where were you at trying to put all these videos together on YouTube? Like let's do this. Let's slow it down. What's your story to where you even got to YouTube? Because there's so much history about why you're doing what you're doing today. It kind of stems from just having I don't want to say like a tough life or a rough beginning, but honestly, like you didn't come from anything, like to be honest with you, compared to what you have going on today. So I know you're a hard worker, but why don't you give the whole 4 or 5 minute Keith Kalfas story just to give people up to speed about who you are and your whole background, because it's a cool story.
Oh man, I was doing YouTube when YouTube came out in 2005. I started uploading videos. I've been vlogging and making videos since I was a kid, the weird kid running around with a camera. But I was also the broke kid trying to find a place to live, sleeping on people's couches. I've slept in cars. We had a lot of adversity, and I'm very grateful for that now because it can make you a very diverse person.
Sure.
And I've lived in 34 different homes, and I'm like 36.
Wow.
And that's pretty cool. So even in my house right now, any minute, I feel like we could just move. It doesn't. And so I was, I've had like 35 jobs too. I've been fired from more jobs than I've had. Dude,
Wow.
I've worked in a restaurant, wait tables, washed dishes. I've done construction stuff, roofing, anything, you name it. But I always had massive anxiety working indoors, and I would end up getting fired from jobs for going outside without, permission. And I hated anybody telling me what I could or couldn't do.
Sure.
It was instant anxiety when I felt like somebody was trying to control me. And I hated the feeling of being controlled. So I ran away when I was like 14 or 15.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know, I've been fending for myself ever since. But basically I was cutting grass with my dad had like this little lawn care business.
Okay.
When I was like 11, and I'd go push mow lawns. He'd weed whip, and he'd give me like $4. Then I got a raise, he'd give me $5 a lawn. And so I had money in my pocket. And by the time I hit 17, I'm like, Dad, let's start a business. And he's like, no, Keith, with your personality, you'll be trying to be the boss. And I don't want, he didn't want any conflict. And I was like, all right, screw you.
Right.
I'm just going to go get a job working for somebody. So I started working, doing lawn care.
And you were what, like 18 years old?
17. I basically just lied on an application. And the next thing you know, I was making like, I don't know, $400 a week.
Right.
I quickly moved up, because I was so ambitious, to being a crew leader and a foreman by the age of 18, 19. 19, I was a foreman and operations manager for this whole lawn care company. And I always had to be the guy in charge. I had to run a crew. I hated being underneath anybody's thumb, dude. It just freaks me out.
Right.
Somebody... Can I cuss on your podcast?
Yeah, it's unfiltered, bro. I mean, you can do whatever you want. I don't care. It's a different audience, man. Everybody here just likes the raw and uncut version, which is what I like. I can't do that on YouTube.
Yeah. So when I was a kid, dude, I was always told like you're weird. Why you don't have any manners? Were you born in a fucking barn? Why are you getting up and going outside right in the middle of dinner?
Right.
Why? What is Keith doing now? That was always the thing. And then people that I knew would get almost. Warn people about me before they met me, because what the fuck what is Keith doing now type shit, and that created a huge insecurity. And it's like I just was my own unique person, and I hated the fucking idea of having to fit in anybody else's box.
Right. Were you like a fire hose, just probably with energy, and you were young and trying to figure stuff out, or?
Bro, I'd be at a formal event and Keith disappears, dude. I'd be outside fucking doing push-ups and junk. Like, I had so much energy, bro.
Right.
I was running.
Sure.
I was in track. I went to like, I think like 8 different schools.
Wow.
And any school I went to, I stood out like a sore thumb because I was a track.
Yeah.
I love to run track, and I was incredibly like fast because I was so competitive, dude. I ran 5 to 6 miles a day, and I was always working out. And,
right. Do you ever feel like in today's world you'd get labeled? Like with it's a condition, right? They're like, oh, that kid's ADD or ADHD,
yeah.
or OCD, just like these things, but like they didn't have labels 10, 20 years ago. I mean, they did, but it was just you being a 13-year-old boy. It was just you being a 17-year-old boy. Would you look back on it and say like you were a troublemaker, or you were just lost, or you were just so excited about life, you just were a square peg round hole for like society standards? Because I feel like that's entrepreneurship, dude. Like if not, they try to medicate people like you and me.
Yeah, I was doped, dude. I was doped on like 120 milligrams of Ritalin. When I was like in 3rd grade, and my mom's boyfriend, that we would have been taken away to like the state was going to take us away.
Oh, okay.
And this guy was like putting my mom's head through the wall, and he was selling drugs out of the house. And I was so like fucked up in the head. Yeah. I was in elementary school threatening to commit suicide. Jeez. So they pulled me out of school, and they do the psych evaluation. I had to go to therapy and shit. And then by the time I was a teenager, I actually went to a mental institution for 3 weeks. I was locked up for being suicidal.
Wow.
And you're like, I never knew that, Kalfas.
No, I mean, that's why I like the real talk,
I actually wasn't suicidal at all. One of my best friends, she committed suicide.
Oh, wow.
And you're like,
Yeah, no, what?
Dude, this is unfiltered, dude. I'm
No,
telling you.
100%.
Like, I talk about the shit, and it fucking pisses me off because social media, it's like you got to keep everything all light and positive and fluffy when there's real people going through real shit. And when you speak to these things, dude, this is what can literally help somebody get out of a dark hole so they don't feel alone.
Right.
Like, this is my mission and my mandate. So I was never suicidal, but I had a best friend that did, and I was so depressed over it that my mom, who thought I was suicidal, and she was very worried about me and locked me up.
Oh, wow.
Tricked me and put for 3 weeks, and then they let me out because they realized I wasn't at all.
Right.
But being in that situation, and I was actually angry at her for like years for that.
Really?
So fast forward, I'm working all these dead end lawn care jobs, and I'm forming for these different jobs, and I loved working outside because I had so much energy. I always wanted to start my own business, but I never had. I always had this thing in my head saying like, dude, you can't start your own business because being around all the equipment that I was operating, I'm like, this is at least 20 grand to get started.
Right.
So this big blessing came to me. I became a foreman for one of the biggest landscaping companies in Michigan, and there's something about my personality. They're like, well, we got an idea for you. We're going to make you a floating foreman. Not only are you going to be a foreman of a landscape crew and lawn care crew, we're going to make you a floating foreman, and you're going to move into horticulture. I'm like, I don't want to fucking do that.
Right.
But it was the greatest blessing because now I'm working and I'm running a crew with other guys who are going to universities for horticulture and studying to become horticulturalists, and I'm learning plant names and gardening soil and tech and all these techniques. And I'm angry. I'm sitting here pulling weeds and pruning rose shrubs and rhododendrons and all this stuff. And little did I know I was learning a very valuable skill that required. One day it hit me. I was like, oh my God, like,
thank God,
this doesn't take any expensive equipment to do garden maintenance. Maybe a pair, just a couple $100 in tools versus thousands for lawn care.
100%. So you're talking like pruning and shrub work and tree removal and tree work, because you do a lot of that stuff.
That's arboriculture. Yeah.
Arbor. Okay. Yeah.
So planting and pruning techniques and dude, I could
everything.
Yeah. So
because everybody gets on YouTube and they watch your videos and they think that you and I would just like have fun and we're just actors. I mean, you know your stuff. Like I always tell people, like I'm not the most technical guy. I'll be the first to admit it. Rhododendron, maple tree, to me they're all the same. I'm just having fun because I don't do a lot with plants and shrubs. But I had my stint in True Green, and I liked working at True Green because I learned so much stuff, like sales skills and then technical skills like weeds and broadleaf and this and all this. And I forgot 80% of it. But no, and by the way, I want to circle back on what you're saying about YouTube, because like YouTube, we always talk about social media being like a highlight reel, right? And even on YouTube, it's just not the avenue to like kind of go deep and tell people stories, and I appreciate people being honest. I appreciate people opening up because, dude, everybody's got demons. Like everybody's got different things that they, have to deal with. And you know what I mean? And so it's like, when you see that on YouTube, it's like, oh, these people, they have it all figured out. They have it all together. Like Brian and Liz, they're so happy. Keith and Ashley, they're so happy. Like we don't fight. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? Like behind the scenes, like Liz and I, like we fight. We have it out. Like we're learning. We're growing our marriage. Like my finances weren't always figured out, and YouTube, like nobody cares. They just want to know about the latest and greatest weed whip, So I appreciate you being honest and opening up on the podcast. That's why it's unfiltered, And so anyway, so let's continue on this timeline. So you're what, 25 maybe? You're doing this whole deal. Is that when you started Kalfas Professional Services, or where did the business come into play?
Yeah, so I'm a foreman for this huge landscape company, go to work every day, punching my steering wheel with bags in my eyes. I hated it. I was a slave. I threatened to quit. Like I got to that breaking point that Malcolm Gladwell talks in the book called Tipping Point, when you just snap and you don't care if you lose everything.
How old were you?
25.
Okay.
And that's right after my mom died. My mom died of a heroin overdose. And I just went through this depressive time in my life, and I was like, you know what? I quit. I'm running, $140,000 worth of equipment and 4 guys taking on all this liability every day for $13 an hour. And I was like, you know what? I need a raise or I'm out of here. And you know what? They said, we decided we're going to give you a raise. And they gave me a raise to $14.50 an hour. And it was like my check after,
taxes
was $398 a week for for sacrificing my life, and I couldn't, but I felt so trapped, bro. It was a horrible feeling to go to. It was like being in the military every day, and this was, my life. But dude, I had my phone and I had my iPod at the time, dude. I was listening to Anthony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, Deepak Chopra, every single motivational, inspirational, and business type, Kiyosaki, anything I get my hands on. And even though I was listening to all that information, it was filling my head with all this stuff. I was so angry because I was like, yeah, but I don't have the money to start a company. So what happened was I was making YouTube videos at work because I was so bored out of my mind.
Right.
And I was posting them on YouTube, and I didn't think the company would care, but they did care. And so they pulled me in the office one morning, me and the guy on my crew who I actually ended up hiring in my own company.
Sure.
And they fired both of us and threatened to sue me because I was defacing the company.
Oh.
I had their work shut on client property, and we did 5-star celebrity properties and stuff.
Oh.
And I just wasn't thinking at that time, and I had apologized to them, but they fired me. They never sued me, but they made an example out of me. Don't shoot YouTube videos at work. And and I look back at the nature of what I was doing is I just want to make videos so bad. But so here I am at this time. I had roommates, and I was literally living in a basement. Right. And I met my wife. Now, I was always the dude, I'm straight up never going to get married. I would never, I look at, it's just, that's craziness to me.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't see that. Really?
Well,
there's a different season, different phase of Keith Kalfas. It's I'm talking to Keith Kalfas 9.0. You know what I mean? People always talking Brian's All Maintenance 2.0 and 3.0. I know there's 10 different seasons of my life. I'm sure the same thing with you. So you're what, late 20s now? And I mean, I see you and Ashley together now, and I'm like, dude, I never would have thought. I mean, you guys are incredible. Yeah,
26, 27. I don't know. I always wanted to move to the West Coast and live some crazy life that nobody has ever lived. I wanted to do music. I wanted to be on stages. I wanted to do singing or public speaking.
Yeah.
Or be an entrepreneur. I always wanted to. The thought of having a wife and then eventually having kids and living the American dream, was terrifying to me.
Sure.
Because it was living in a box.
Claustrophobic.
Yeah,
I know what you're saying. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So when I met my wife, dude, the feeling I got when the first time we kissed, bro, my whole body filled with goosebumps, and it was this instant infatuation.
Aw. That's good.
And basically, I knew right away that
it was the one.
Yeah, I knew, and I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't, and I was upset because I wasn't ready to settle down like that.
Okay, sure.
But I knew for a fact it was meant to be, and I would never find anybody like that in my life, and I would regret that. So
this is good.
Yeah, we're together after 3-4 months, and dude, we're fighting like cats and dogs 3, 4, 5 in the morning. One time she literally started kicking me, saying, "Get the fuck out, get the fuck out," and opened the door and literally kicked me out of her car into her mom's driveway because we were arguing at 4 in the morning.
Sure.
Because I had an ex-girlfriend that was randomly calling my phone in the middle of the night, and I'm like, I don't know what do you fucking mean? Why is she fucking calling me? Ah! And she just went nuts because she couldn't trust me, and she had past trust issues, and it's we're way too intense too quick,
right?
And so she kicks me out into the driveway at 4 a.m. and peels off in the car screaming and wakes up the whole neighborhood, and then her mom comes out in a nightgown 4 a.m. in a nightgown in the dark, and I'm getting up in the driveway. She's like, "What's going on? Where's my daughter?" I'm like, "Your daughter's fucking crazy." And her mom's like, "What did you do to my daughter? Get off my property, you monster."
Oh no.
I'm like, "I don't know what." She's like, and she went and slammed the door, and then I was
embarrassed, obviously, 4 in the morning.
Yeah,
dogs barking and stuff.
Yeah, then Ashley comes back around, it was constant fighting, bro. It'd be really good, and then it would just, the bottom would fall out. And dude, we fought like that for 3, 4, 5 years, and I never told anybody about this stuff on YouTube. So
let me ask you this though. So you're going 100 miles an hour doing YouTube, and you're doing the whole deal, but at the same point, as you're going through this whole process, was it that you guys were both young, and I don't want to speak out of line, but were you guys both young and just immature? Because that's kind of how Liz and I were. Like, we were both so fiercely independent spirits, you know what I mean? Behind the scenes, we're building this YouTube channel, we're building our lawn and landscape business. Like, we're trying to figure out finances, right? We're both kind of came from broken homes, right? And so now we have to start working together. But like, we were so, the first like 2 years, it wasn't bad, but like, dude, we fought all the time because we were so like, I'm trying to lead our family. And she's like, well, you're doing it wrong. I'm like, I already know that. I don't need you to continue to tell me that I'm an idiot, you know, and that's just real talk. And, you know, I'll relate, like Liz and I, like we've always really came back together anytime we have a fight. Like we solve our problems pretty quick, you know, because we just realize, like, I've noticed that if we're not moving together towards a common goal or a vision, that's usually when we start fighting at each other. Like, if we're not moving towards the mark, I've just noticed that we start pointing the finger at each other. Pick your thing, pick your poison, right? But like, if we're not moving forward, I noticed that we're just tearing each other down. It's just super toxic really quick. And so like, I've always said, like, why are we actually fighting right now? And it's like, oh, because you didn't do something today, I didn't do something today, meaning we didn't do what we said we would do. Like, we weren't being accountable. But just to be honest with you, like, we're young 20s, you know, we're dumb, we're broke, and we don't know what we don't know. Was that some aspects playing into you guys' dynamics of, like, you're trying to figure out finances, you're trying to figure out how to work together? I know you guys are both super ambitious, and sometimes when you're entrepreneurs, you're going, because I know Ashley runs her own thing and she's done a couple different businesses and projects, you know, so you're going 100 miles an hour, and it can be taxing, you know, most couples at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, you know, like, they come home, they watch TV, they shut down, and that's it. But like, it's kind of hollow too, you know, so I don't know. Can you speak to that?
Yeah. So after being together 6 months, we're in a 1-bedroom apartment together, and you know, I had gotten sued because I got in a car accident with no insurance, and in Michigan, I got sued for like 20 grand, and I had attorneys coming after me, and they took my driver's license, and so I had to, I negotiated a payment plan with them. So just my PLPD went up to, like, it was $1,400 a month for full coverage and $850 a month for PLPD. So I had insurance under my wife's name and driving a car under her name with like all this special insurance, and like, so the dead end lawn care job wasn't working. My self-esteem was in the gutter because I couldn't believe at 27, 28 now, I still, after all the books I had read, after how intelligent and articulated I thought I was still fucking completely broke. And now I had a fiance, right? And one day I snapped, and I was with my buddy Dave. I would do side jobs, anything to make money, 7 days a week. It's all that mattered. He's like, he gave me like $15 an hour cash one day to go do this side job of landscaping. He didn't even know how to do the landscaping. He was a builder, and I was telling him how to do all the landscaping. And at the end of the day, I made like $160, and we're driving home, and it's in the rain. This is like 2012. And he's like, I hadn't even started Landscaping Employee Trap YouTube channel at that point. I never started the channel until after I got the business off the ground. Sure. And fully running, because I didn't have time to make YouTube videos. No. I see some of the guys start a YouTube channel and they haven't got their business off the ground. Stop that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that.
I tell people all the time, like, document your life, maybe do one video every 2-3 weeks. But dude, doing what I do, that you can't. The first 5 years of my business, it was 100 hours a week forever. Like, just suffocating.
Yeah,
like,
pure focus, man.
100%.
So I literally wasn't even making enough money to make it work. And so we're driving home in the rain, and my buddy Dave, he's like the secret friend I talk about in my books and the videos that taught me how to. I'm like, dude, how did you get this job? How are you doing? Like, it was like this. Sometimes in the life you have this blind spot, but once you learn it, it's obvious to you, and you're like, how did I not see that before? And he's like, you know, you can do this, Falcus. I'm like, well, how do you do it? He's like, it's simple. Because I'm like a tactical person. You got to tell me the step. Like, hold my hand like I'm in third grade and tell me what to do. Sure. Stop fucking talking about your fucking theory, right, and tell me what to do. Yeah. And just tell me what to do. He's like, you go on Craigslist and you make an ad in the services and home and garden section, 2 ads, and you say, landscaping, best deals in town. Then put your name and put your services and put your phone number. And they'll call you, and when they call you, you pick up the phone and you say, I can do that. And then you go look at them. I'm like, well, how do you even know what to charge? And he's like, this is what I did, Felkus. I started out at what I made at a job, plus my materials, and then I kept raising the prices until they pushed back till I wasn't getting the jobs. And that's how I figured out how much I was worth. I was like, oh my God.
Finally, somebody gave me the answer, the real answer. Because people are like, how much do you price a lawn? I'm like, I don't know, dude, $30, $40. You know, nowadays everybody's like, you got to know your numbers. You got to be your per man hour rate. You got to be like articulate. You got to be like dialed in. I go, $20 I'll do it because I was broke and otherwise I'd be eating nothing. So $20 sounds great. You know, but like it's the doing. Right? Like, you know, let me ask you this. Do you think there's some merit behind, I know everybody that I know so many people that just consume self-help and motivation and all this entrepreneurship stuff, right? They listen to everything you were just quoting, but then they have this like cognitive dissonance, right? Like they're learning, but they're not doing. They're learning, but they're not applying. Like you can't just learn, you have to do. Do you think that was a multiplier for you as you're going through this whole phase and now you're starting to start your own business? Because now you have this vehicle to start applying everything you're learning to?
No. That's what. So I went home that night and I posted the ad, 2 ads, best deal. Just like he said, I didn't know what to do. Like I was like, I wish you could see how good of a worker I actually am. Then you would hire me.
Really,
dude? I had no idea how to even communicate. But my phone started ringing, and that yes, this is Mr. Jones. I want a quote for you. Come do my landscaping. I'll be right there.
Yeah.
So I used my wife's car. I drove. I walked around the property all nervous, and I gave a guy a quote. The first one was like a shrub trimming job. I had no money. I'm like, dude, I didn't have anything. I call up my buddy Dave. I'm like, dude, I got a job. I got my first job. He's like, congratulations, fella. Because I'm like, how am I going to do it? I have nothing. He's like, well, I'll tell you, I'll make a deal. Give me $15 and you can rent my wheelbarrow and a tarp and a rake and a broom. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, how am I going to trim the shrubs? He's like, you got to find some shrub trimmers. So I took the money that was for our electricity bill or rent or something. I went to Home Depot. I bought a pair of Black & Decker electric shrub trimmers and an extension cord. It was like $68.
Right.
And then I went to his house and I did it, I think, out of the back of my wife's car in her trunk. And I showed up, dude. And there was a dude. I was like, listen, dude, I know that I look like a bum right now, but I'm a fucking expert, dude. I've been doing this forever, and I just left a big. He's like, oh, I trust you. I trimmed all this dude's shrubs.
Yeah,
perfect. I was there till dark, and I didn't have a blower, so I was literally raking it up in anxiety and putting it in lawn bags and leaving it at his curb. And I made like $150 that night. Right. And that, dude, $150. That's like 2 full days of work, and I made in like 3-4 hours. So I took that $150, and I went straight to the pawn shop. And I bought a shitty backpack blower. And then I kept posting those ads. And then I got another job. And this one recorded mulch. I didn't even know you could get mulch delivered. So I borrowed my wife's dad's pickup truck, this old Tacoma truck. And I showed up, it was like $180 or $200. I didn't even know what to charge, but I trimmed the guy's shrubs, pulled the weeds on the property. My wife came out, helped me. I put all the mulch down, and the guy paid me. And then I got another job, dude. I made like $90 profit on a Saturday. So now here you go. I'm cutting grass all day till 5-6 p.m. Coming home exhausted. I go in the house exhausted. I don't shower or anything. I literally use the bathroom, stuff some food down my throat, give my wife a hug, and go straight out the door. And I was using my wife's car. So we are fighting because she was trapped in an apartment with no car.
Right.
I was using her car, and I was going out. I would show up to jobs, and people like, "Oh, no, please leave," because I was showing it. They didn't know who I was. I'm like, "No, you don't understand. You don't know. Please get out of here." And I would leave with my head in the gutter, dude. Like, right. And then I just kept doing that. I before you know it, 7 days a week, I was going out and doing side jobs, and my nickname was Side Job Keith. And I didn't give a fuck, dude. I don't care how tired I was, dude. I was shaking. I was so skinny that it was the skinniest I ever was in my life. And dude, I had like my face was breaking out. I look like a crackhead,
right?
And I was terrified. I was in pure fight or flight mode, shaking 100 fucking hours a week. I'm not exaggerating, dude. And I did that constantly because my back was against the wall. I knew now at this moment that if I didn't pay these attorneys and and now I had this fiance. It was the scariest turning point in my life, and I actually thought I was going to die. because it was so painful, and I didn't realize it was ego death. All of my life and safety mechanisms in my psychology all had to go, and I was jumping off a cliff and building a plane on the way down.
Right.
So I was, dude, my first tree job, bro, was just trimming some branches on a tree. I didn't even have a chainsaw. I borrowed one, and I didn't understand how to put a chain on, and the fucking chain was smoking, and the guy was staring at me like, oh my God, who did I hire? I was that embarrassing crackhead Chuck in a truck for years. Sure. I'm sorry, for months and months. I was the embarrassing, and I didn't know my worth. I didn't know anything about how to run a business, and all these clients were taking a total advantage of me. Dude, I was working for free, coming home in anxiety, breaking down, and now my wife was, dude, all night. So I was working 100 hours a week and staying up till 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, fighting with my wife. My wife screaming at me, threatening to break up, threatening to divorce me. Crazy shit that I don't even want to say publicly.
Right.
That now I was sleeping 2 to 3 hours a night. So now I'm literally peeing in bottles and pooping in buckets and sleeping. I saved up $600 and I got this shitty truck called the Blue Goose. I was sleeping in the Blue Goose in parking lots. And leaving our apartment at night because my wife and I kept fighting and shit. And so I would go sleep in parking lots, and she'd be blowing up my phone like, who the fuck are you with? Are you fucking cheating on me? What the fuck is going on? I'm like, you don't understand. I'm trying to fucking build this. And I was like this bitch. I was in so much fear that I couldn't even stand up to my own wife. All I had was the energy to just try to survive. I was like a crackhead in survival mode, dude. And I just kept doing these jobs and losing money. I remember, dude, shoveling stones at 10 o'clock at night for fucking free, dude.
Right.
Like, and shaking when I'm asking the customers for money or telling them the price. When you're that broke and you're that, like, because when it comes, dude, I could walk into any landscaping job in the state and be like, I'm Keith Kalfas. I know how to run all this equipment, to do all these things, and they would literally hire me as a foreman to run a crew, and jump in and run $100,000 in equipment in 4 or 5. Dude, I've ran a crew of 10 guys before. My level of confidence and competence around running landscaping jobs as a foreman inside of a company, all fucking day. But when it came to running my own business,
totally,
dude, I was literally out there just getting crushed.
Right.
I was not crushing it. And I was cashing all these checks into my personal bank account and not paying taxes, you know. And there's like, taxes, I don't even have any money in my, so by the time, like, I finally got an accountant, and I was sitting in front of the accountant, I was so scared. I was shaking. And they're like, this guy's a fucking schizophrenic.
Right.
But I knew I wasn't. I was just terrified. So when you're acting that way because you're literally that scared and people are treating you like, you know, so once I figured that shit out, dude, and how are we on time?
You're good, dude.
Okay.
We're good.
Once I figured that shit out, dude, and I started, you know, I talk about this in the videos, you know, my first $1,000 day trimming trees. When you do that, now, I'm not talking about strategically going out and channeling specific customers and playing your numbers right and predictably getting $1,000 a day days. I'm talking about like you just crossing your fingers and doing everything you can, and then once in a while you get lucky and make a couple $100 in a day, right? Like, I mean, to me back then, to make $300, $400, $500 in a day, that was like the jackpot job. Like me and my buddy William, we talk about this shit all the time, dude, because back then it was like the biggest blessing. It was the thing, like, we were rolling the dice hoping we would get it, because we never actually understood that. You don't understand in the beginning that's actually, you're in control of it. You just feel like you're lucky. So the first $1,000 day changed my life, because then I realized my worth went up, you know. And then once you start getting so many customers and clients and you're working so hard. It's like, like getting a rocket ship into the sky. Like, dude, it takes everything that you have,
Right?
because you're dissolving the bottom as you're expanding the top, and you got to create so much activity in the business and do so much shit you don't want to do to eventually get to the shit you do want to do. And you have to get into so many situations and scenarios and so many fuck ups and so many mistakes and lose money so much and just get your ass hammered and crushed and over promise and under deliver or not be able to show up. And then, and I remember, my wife is like, her family's like Chaldean. And so like, I fucking hate when people say like, you need to spend more time with your family. The people who say that shit are people who have like, oh, I'm comfortable where I'm at. I don't want to be more successful. I'm just gonna like, they'll start saying shit like that on social media because they're really projecting that they're not as ambitious as they used to be. They're comfortable where they're at. And I feel kind of weird saying that because that could trigger like a kind of a fire. But what I mean is,
Totally.
Fuck that. I attended 18 family events last year with my wife's family, not including my family. Including my family was like 28 family events. Who the fuck goes to 28 family events? 18 of them being my wife. Every fucking literally every month to twice a month, there's a birthday party for little fucking Joey, then little fucking Nikki, then we gotta go to Grandpa's, then we got Christmas and Thanksgiving, and we're constantly at fucking family events. And I'd be sitting there like, I'm trying to grow a fucking business, and I'm sitting here at a restaurant shaking, getting bitched at for looking at my fucking phone, and her family thinks that I'm fucking selfish and, oh, what the fuck is wrong with Keith? How come he's not spending time with family? I'm like, and then I felt like I wasn't good enough. Like, and I would freak out on my way. I'm like, fuck you. Why don't you go find a fucking other husband who is a fucking dentist or somebody who can give you every fucking thing that you want? Because I'm on my fucking hustle, and I came from the gutter,
Right.
and I need to fucking hustle to build this shit, and I'm gonna fucking do it. But I can't do it fast enough for you. That's how I used to feel. Now it's like totally different. Like my wife just took the credit card and bought tickets to go out with her girlfriend to Vegas.
Right.
Like, I don't even
Yeah,
give a
she was
fuck
just telling
now.
me. Yeah.
But like, so here's what I mean. Like, I love my wife and I'm very forgiving. She didn't come from the gutter like I did. And, I don't expect her to understand all that. But I could very easily, and I say all these things because I want to be real. I could very easily just think back of all the times and then get upset with my wife or blame her, develop resentment and all that stuff. I don't do that because it's not her fault. She didn't know.
Right.
And,
Well, you had to go through this pruning phase. You had to go through all this.
pruning phase.
Totally. And I'm just gonna be real frank as well. Like, I see when we do YouTube videos, or I help a lot of people, so do you, and I answer a lot of questions. And like, I'm just gonna be honest with you. Like, I've made my whole channel to make a lawn and landscape business so freaking easy. It's not even funny. I mean, literally, like, it's not even funny. And I tell people, if you can't take, and this is real talk, if you can't take the 600 videos that I've made, in the last 4 years and chisel out $100,000 year income, you're just not working hard enough. Like, period, case closed.
Here's the problem. If you're consuming, okay, so there's a point, you're like 90% consumption, 10% execution.
Totally.
80% consumption, maybe in the second year, you're just consuming content like you're obsessed, you're a sponge. And then it gets to 50-50, and then finally gets to a good place where it's about 80% execution, 20% consumption. Okay. Right now I'm probably 80-20. I'm at 80%, maybe 90% all execution, right? I can't consume any more content or read any more books. I've read 470 books. I've got $20,000 in online courses. Anytime somebody says, Keith Kalfas, you got to read this book, I'm like, motherfucker, I read it.
I read that book 4 years ago 4 times.
Yeah.
I know. I feel it.
And what I say is I put the spotlight on myself in a way. I said, motherfucker, I've read all these books. You're telling me I need to read this book, and I'm still not doing a million years in my business. The answer is not the fucking book, dude. It's the execution.
Right.
It's so no, but this is the book that you need to. It's like, dude, that's great, but here's what it is. It's dialing down specifically and only consuming the information that's relevant and applicable to where you're at right now and where you need to go next, and following 1, 2, maybe 3 guys who are a past where you want to be. Not these fucking, like, Grant Cardone's great. He taught me how to, like, I increased my closing rate, right? But Grant Cardone's a fucking billionaire. Like, I can't relate to him on that level. I love Mr. Miyagi and all these fucking guys. Like, but talking about meditating out in the woods and all that shit, when you need to hustle and figure out your sales and closing system in your business, or how to become a master at skit.
You know what I call it? Deconstructing. I learned I learned that from somebody. It's called deconstructing.
You're a lawntrepreneur. You run your mower and your business. Take care of crabgrass and your customers. You improve curb appeal and efficiency. You do it all. And now there's Cujo, a shoe that does it all too. Trash the grass-stained athletic shoes that can't stand up to slopes or dew. Put those stiff boots in storage and forget about the fatigue and discomfort they caused. You don't have to choose between lightweight comfort or water-resistant traction, because the Cujo yard shoe is the best of both worlds. Every feature has been selected to optimize the performance and satisfaction of lawn care professionals. While you focus on laying killer stripes, we'll be there every step of the way. Check us out at Cujo.com, Kujo.com.
When you go through a sales process and you're like, okay, I get the phone to ring, cool. I get to get on the phone, right? But then I get that in-person interview, okay, cool. But then you're not closing in person, right? Well, you don't suck at the whole sales process. You suck at one phase, one part of the process. Maybe you suck one-on-one. Maybe you just don't know how to communicate. Maybe you don't know how to talk. Maybe you're oversharing, undersharing. Your body language is off. You don't know how to ask closing questions, right? So what a lot of people do is this is just a rant, but like they just throw the whole baby out with the bathwater. I'm not a good salesman. I'm like, what? Like, I understand, like, 10% of people are charismatic naturally, and they're just natural salespeople, right? But salesmanship is a skill, right? So, like, you have to learn the skills of selling. So same thing with your marriage. Oh, I'm a horrible boyfriend. I'm a horrible husband. I'm a horrible wife. Well, no, you probably just, you might, if you're fighting, you might just be bad at one or two little things. You have to deconstruct things. Deconstructing things and doing, like, self-analysis, right? And being, like, aware, not woke, okay? Woke is... we're not talking about that. Some people are so young, they don't even understand what we're talking about. You know what I mean? But you were self-fixing so many different things in these books and all these programs, right? They're illuminating all these little inadequacies, little problems. And you didn't even know they're problems. I didn't know they're problems. But again, like, you had to take it on your own to fix all these little problems.
That's a huge thing. So when you realize, when you like wake up, right? Boom. You have to learn how to sell work, grow a business, manage money, manage a marriage, do all these things at once. It's way too much to learn too fast, like in 1 year.
It's impossible.
And people say, well, you need to focus on one thing at a time. Yeah, one focus at a time. Okay, that's how I did it. I focused on my business and my marriage fell apart. And I came home and my wife was throwing my shit out of the window down onto the lawn. And I'm like, babe, stop, babe.
It's funny now, not funny then.
No, our marriage is great now. That's why I talk about it.
Totally. No, I know you guys are solid.
So,
by the way, we're gonna do a marriage podcast, hopefully with all four of us, me, you, Liz, and Ashley, because and we've talked many times at GIE, that for an hour, and it's funny, dude, because I'm sorry, I'm interrupting, but like, dude, you and I got together a year ago at a hotel, and you helped me build my online training website. And like, I'm like, Keith, what does it cost to just get 24 hours of your time? You're like, you put a number on the thing. And I said, cool. I PayPal'd it to you 10 minutes later. I said, cool. You're like, all right, this guy's serious. Let's do this. So we got
we need to do that again, because I got this whole new plan.
Like my whole training website, like I always, like Keith always said, he likes BMWs. I said, if I ever become a millionaire because of YouTube, I'm going to buy you a BMW. So you can count me on that. I think you like a 5 Series, you said something like that. So I'm telling you, like, I don't forget things. And so anyway, so we're in this room for 36 hours. I go to my wife, by the way, funny story. I go, hey, I'm gonna go get a hotel room with Keith. And unfortunately, the only thing the hotel room had was a 1 king, room. And she goes, so you're gonna go suspiciously hang out and sleep over with Keith Kalfas in a 1 king bed? I go, look, no homo. I'm just hanging out with a guy, okay? And so that was just a funny conversation. But dude, you helped me put this whole thing together. But I don't know where I was going through this whole thought, but I can't. Here's what it was. I was confiding in you when we're in this room, right? There's no distractions. You and me were working on this website. We're just hanging out and just being real. And I was just telling you, like, where my life was. This about a year ago. We're doing this, but I've told you other things, like a year and a half ago. And I'm like, dude, like, my life is like upticking, like things are going good, but like this freaking sucks, that freaking sucks. How do I solve this? You're like, oh my God. And I'm like, oh my God, what? And because I was telling you about a living situation, right? And you're like, And I was like, dude, this is going on XYZ. And you're like, yeah. And you feel like XY, and you feel like A, B, and C, right? I go, yeah. And then I was like, yeah, dude, but this, like, my car is XYZ. And he goes, and he goes, and you make, and it feels like this, and this, doesn't it? I'm like, what are you doing to me right now? Like, how can you predict this? You're like, bro, I was there 4 years ago. I was there 2 years ago. I was there 6 months ago. You know, you remember all this conversation? And I was just being honest. And I'm like, when is it gonna, like, I was just frustrated, bro. I was like leaving my heart on a sleeve. I was just like, this sucks and this sucks. And people are making fun of me. And like, I'm making more money than probably anybody else that's watching. You know what I mean? But like, you can't say that, you know, and I'm not, you know, uber rich or we're, you know, millionaires or, you know, making all these YouTube millions. It's not like that. But you know, all of our friends are buying homes, right? They're having kids. And like Liz and I are like, we're waiting. We're trying to be patient and we're trying to do things the right way. And it's just like this peer pressure. It's claustrophobic. I don't know. I guess I just go on this little tangent just to say, like, people have no idea how much you've helped me. And I don't know if you would have been in a position to help me and help the millions of people that watch your videos if you didn't take a effing decade, like, working on yourself. And so, like, when I put my live event on, this is my little full circle here, but when I put on my live event, I was like, oh, I want this guy to speak. I want this guy to speak. But I told Liz, she goes, well, who else? I go, Keith Kalfas. I said, this guy's got a mission to speak into people's lives. And he's literally like a transformative, I use the word metamorphosis, right? Like a caterpillar goes in the cocoon, but it comes out a butterfly. It's not even the same freaking creature. Like, you didn't just change. You didn't just like shift. You're not even the same person you were a decade ago. And I know you're like, no, I still remember everything and I'm still like the same Keith. I know, but like who you are today is probably not even, you know, resembles who you were 7 or 10 years ago. And I mean, sincerely, dude, like, I just appreciate all the crap that you went through. I mean, like, you ever hear like, you don't understand it going through it, but looking back on it, it all makes sense. Mm-hmm. You've ever heard stuff like that?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it sounds so weird, but people just take this stuff for granted. That guys like you are putting out content, and like, I've watched your videos. I've been like, shoot, that's good stuff. You know, I've watched stuff that's like made me cry. I had you at my live event, and dude, in 25 minutes, you said more impactful words in 25 minutes than I can say in an hour and a half. And everybody's like, Keith stole the show. Keith stole the show. Know your worth. Keith stole the show. Like, I have my live replay bundle. You know, it's like $99 on the website, and people are like, oh, I don't know if I have $99. I'm like, Keith Kalfas talk alone is probably worth $10,000. I'm just being for real, bro. Like it's like I did leaf cleanups that next week, and I'm charging this price for like $125 and $145, and I just know I'm undercutting myself. I know I'm dude. Like that day, I literally just something snapped. And dude, I was like, no, this cleanup is worth $245. This cleanup is worth $275. This cleanup I was doing for like this is just like 4 months ago. You know, Mr. Guru, Brian's Law Maintenance, right? I remember doing a day worth of leaf cleanups. We made $1,900. I probably traditionally would have charged $1,100 to $1,200 because I just got sick of it, dude. I just got sick of it. I'm like, none of these people are going to come out here and grind doing what I'm doing with me and my guys. It's 20 degrees out, you know, snow on the ground, where, you know, sucks. It's freezing cold, right? And so I don't want to, like, you know, beat a dead horse, and this isn't a lip service, but I'm just telling you straight up, like, the stuff you teach and the stuff you learn, I just feel like it resonates with people on an entirely different level than anybody else putting content out.
Thank you for that.
I'm serious.
So I want to say this is really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
One of the hardest things to face is when you're out there giving your all, hustling every day. You're getting up every morning. You're committed. You got bags under your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't see your business going anywhere. You don't see your bank account going up or your life getting better. And now you're looking out at friends or other people on YouTube maybe,
mm-hmm.
or you're listening to information of other people that are making advances and they're getting a new truck. They're getting houses. They just got a new trailer. They
mm-hmm.
expanded their business. Oh, they got married. They had and you see other people becoming successful and it's not happening for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you listen to these books or programs or consume these courses where these guys are talking about where they're, you know, they now they'll legitimately tell you, like, dude, I was struggling. I was in the pit, but today I have a 6-figure business or a 7-figure business.
Right.
Even that type of information, when that type of information no longer becomes inspirational to you, now it fucking makes you angry. Because you start believing that like you're cursed. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to happen for you. It
Mhm.
happened for all these people, and you get I got so fucking sick and tired of hearing about everybody else's success stories. Yet I was still fucking living in a 1-bedroom apartment with a ticket on my truck because I was parking out by the fire hydrant with oil stains all over the place because I had nowhere to park my shit.
Mm-hmm.
I still was up with my wife all night fighting. I still, was going through all this, and I was giving my all. Nobody was working harder than me. This interesting thing is, when you are out cutting those endless lawns and weed whipping those properties, doing it in the rain, doing it on a Sunday night,
Mm-hmm.
all that shit is building character and tenacity into you. It feels like you're on a flat line. It feels like you're going nowhere because you spent this whole year just working your ass off. But that's all building character and tenacity. Imagine being a warrior. Imagine like it's 1,000 years ago and you're out there with nothing like a Bowie knife and you're just hunting and like fighting, to feed your family. You're leveling up. And sometimes, like, I used to play these RPG video games,
Mhm.
and I was the dude, instead of going straight to the castle to defeat the monster, I would literally just go out in the woods and keep fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting and leveling up and getting my magic levels up and all that and developing my armor. Like, you have to develop this momentum inside you that makes you, it's called the warrior mentality. It's where you get to the point where you're leveling up, dude, where nothing phases you anymore. You're getting pruned. You're developing.
You're getting fit. You're getting fit. Your spiritual man is getting fit too.
Yeah, so you have to go through multiple breakdowns. You have to go through those times. Dude, I've been on job sites before. I'd be on my hands and knees in the back of someone's garden bed. I'm just exhausted, pulling weeds, sunburnt, and I just would break down crying. And nobody knew it. Nobody cared. And after the cry, I would feel peaceful. And it was just me and my fingertips and my hands that could barely move anymore, pulling all the fucking weeds, filling up another bucket full of weeds, coming home, not feeling appreciated by anybody or anything. And when I stopped being a victim, and depending on like I realized if it's meant to be, it's up to me. There has to be these moments where you step into the unknown, where you go for broke.
Put yourself out there.
Yeah, and you start becoming willing to do things that you don't normally, maybe that you're afraid to do. And you could say, yeah, but I did try that, and then it turned into this whole fucking shit show, and it made me like, I remember building like a whole patio paver walkway. And I'm up all night studying and researching how to the brick pavers and the patios. And we did this whole patio paver walkway and it turned out perfect. And I was scared shitless the whole time. It was so, I didn't have any of the training programs or anything. And
right.
I remember doing a 2-day job that turns into a 5-day job. And at the end I made no money.
Right.
But what did you get? You got an amazing education.
Right.
And sometimes you got to go look in the mirror. Like I would go in my truck. When you open the door of your old shitty truck and it's going ding, 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 and it's so fucking hot, you're just dripping in sweat, you're dehydrated, you had to take a shit for like 3 hours, you got dirt all over your hands, your phone's ringing, like when you're in the heat of it in the summer.
Right.
And I would go look at my eyes in the mirror, I have dirt on my face, dripping in sweat, and I would say, don't you ever, ever, ever listen to me. I had to coach myself, dude, fathering myself. Don't you ever fucking do that again. You hear me? Like dead serious.
Totally.
To make sure I didn't fucking make that mistake. Because in the world of business, like if you don't cross your T's and dot, but what do you mean cross your T's and dot? Like, so that's why like if you're in this fight or flight thing where you're running like a rat on a wheel and you're scared, you are in I can't think of the word. It starts with an F. It's when you're frantic almost. What that does when you get so if something happens, if you lose money on a job or you fucking like just shit goes to hell in a handbasket, right? If you allow yourself go into a reactive and frantic state about that and you become a victim, you're now carrying that energy into every next phone call, all your next jobs, and now you create a downward spiral effect where you just hit the shit dominoes, and the dominoes are like, dude, you better watch because your whole fucking business could fall apart in 2 seconds for that month or whatever. So you have to be able to compartmentalize your emotions. So when something fucked up happens on one job site or something, like, you have to be able to pull out the emotional needle, the plug, like pull the plug on that. Don't be a victim. Swallow it, eat it, accept it.
Right.
Go have that tough conversation. The quicker you own up to whatever the fuck happened, and you say, this is a learning experience. I'm so fucking grateful that it's just cost me $1,000, or I put an employee in a truck and then he smashed into a fucking fence or something, or broke, or you put an employee behind a walk-behind mower and he smashes to get into the backyard fence and fucks it up. Like, how are you supposed to deal with all these crazy situations that happen when you have your own small business that nobody taught you how to do?
It's the unknown. It's the unknown.
Yeah. So
it's scary.
There's this t-shirt, everything is my fault. It's like
true. Extreme ownership.
When you do that, and basically then you can go on to the very next job site with a whole brand new attitude, like the same day, with and crush it. Like, when you lose, what is it called? Count your loss.
I don't know. Just count your losses. I think it's like, dude, I'll tell you straight up, personal example. Like 2 days ago, I was plowing snow and I took the plow all the way to the front of a garage. I don't know if you saw this video.
I did.
I scraped the garage. Thankfully, it was the rubber, snow deflector. But dude, totally what you're talking about. That fight or flight. I went white-faced, white-knuckled. The self-doubt voices came in. They were starting to creep in, and how could you do that? You're an idiot. You're a moron. Like you knew better. Of course you knew you were going to get too close to a garage eventually. All this bullshit.
Well, you must be stupid.
You must be an idiot. and then it's like, maybe you're not cut out for plowing snow. Maybe you're an idiot. And then I'm like, oh, watch all these fucking people on YouTube say, you're an idiot. Of course you don't know what you're talking about. You're making videos. You have a training program about how to plow snow. Like, people think these voices don't exist in our heads. Because people hear these voices in their heads. So what do? I say, no. Extreme ownership. I'm going to own this. Nothing has beat me yet. Right? I will not let this beat me, is always my attitude. I don't know what to do next. I've never hit a garage door. Time to fucking learn. This is a whole nother silo of thoughts. Well, I've broke other things before. We've crashed windows. We've broken windows. We've broken fence. I've destroyed so many things it's not even funny. So what do? I know my little MO, right? Call the customer. I start trying to fix the door. We ended up buffing it out. Thankfully, it was really minor, right? It was actually no big deal. But I leave that job site and I go, you know what? Could have been a catastrophe, right? But I didn't let it own me. I owned it. I took responsibility for it. I wasn't going to let this break me, right? And that's how you just have to keep approaching everything. I have a knockout, drag out with my wife. My wife has taken her ring off and thrown it at me. And to the point where I can't find it, right? I'm like, shit, where did it go? It's somewhere on the floor. She goes, I'm done with you. And you guys know Liz and I, like, we're solid. But at the same point, like, we've had those fights, and people don't think that Brian's Law maintenance, because YouTube is a highlight reel. And I've kind of kept it clean for that reason, right? Because there's companies and there's this and there's sponsorships and there's this. I don't even care about all that, but I'm just saying, like, that's kind of the MO, right? Like, you guys don't care about my problems. I know half of you say you do, the other half you don't. Half you don't care, and the other half are glad I have them. So why take my problems to YouTube, right? Like, I always tell people, if I have a bad day, I kick my cat, I yell at my wife, I walk out the door and I make a YouTube video, and I'm negative, and I hit publish. 110,000 people see that. I don't want that negative momentum. I don't want that negative ripple. I don't want to make a negative dent in the universe and attract all that to me or to you people, right? But the podcast here, we're just being authentic with you guys. It's a different forum where we can do this. But I just want to reciprocate with what you're just saying. Like, I've seen so many people, their biggest problem right now, Keith, is that they got their first logo back and they put it on their shirt and the embroiderer put it 1 degree off at an angle. They're like, oh, it's Brian's, lawn maintenance, and the logo is at an angle. And I'm like, that's your biggest problem? Now, I didn't come as far back as you did, but I grew up poor, double wide trailer, the whole deal. We've told our story. I'm like, your biggest problem right now is deciding between an X-Mark and a John Deere because you have $9,000 cash in the bank. And I'm just like, you guys have it easy. You know, not everybody here, but I'm just saying like the problems today, everybody is just, people are soft, bro. People are soft and they won't pay dues. They won't eat dirt, like Gary Vee says. And people are like, oh, that's so cool. I'm going to get the shirt. Oh, clouds and dirt, shirt, you know, clouds and dirt, K-Swiss shoes. I'm like, no. Like, you shouldn't be able to wear those until I look at your eyes and see the bags under them. Right? Like, oh, I'm going to buy a Louis Vuitton purse. I bought Liz 3 Louis Vuitton purses this year, Keith. Why? Because the first year we made Buco bucks. Right? Liz didn't have a new purse for 5 years. And I apologized to her. I bought her the first one. She's like, this is awesome. I go, get the wallet. She goes, no. I'm like, no, get the wallet. It's like $800. Good for you. Because Liz is out there the whole time paying dues, right? And I go on another trip, and she's like, no, I already got a wallet. Like, I just want to spoil her because how much crap she went through and how much she had to put up with me in the last 5 years that nobody knows. And I just want to bless my wife. We took a trip to Universal Studios, Harry Potter World. She's like, no. I'm like, if you don't let me spend this money on you, I will leave you. Because I just spent 5 years literally putting myself through the crucible. Don't rob this from me. Don't steal this from me. You know what I'm saying? And so I just see so many people unwilling to pay those dues. You know, you want to buy a Louis Vuitton bag? Anybody can buy a Louis Vuitton bag. You know how you should be able to buy a Louis Vuitton bag? Sure, a credit check and an income check. Like, you can't buy something unless you make $100,000. Like, it sounds really rude, but it's like, dude, these nice things are deserved for nice people, not because you bank 3 paychecks from your job. Like, these are nice things for nice people because these people paid dues, and that's why they look pretty, because they look so. I always talk about this, Keith. I would love to do like, you know, who's your boy that makes the videos, the movies, the famous guy. Well, he's got a published movie now, so I call him famous. Quentin Howell. I want to make a short film with him, dude. Talking about like doing this whole video. Like, imagine this. Like, imagine like a guy sitting in front of you, right? And then like he looks like really clean, looks like this Brad Pitt looking like dude. And I would make this whole like dramatic story, you know. But like if you know like infrared lights or like UV lights, like they show a different, you know, lens, like a different filter on that person. I want to like do this like short film where like you flip a switch and this like infrared light, this like black light comes on the guy. And the guy turns into this like Frankenstein Skeletor looking, all these scars, all these stitches, huge scar over his chest, huge scar over his back. You know what I mean? And it's just because somebody stabbed him in the heart. Somebody stabbed him in the back. You know, this scar right here, I got it here because, you know, XYZ happened and somebody quit on me and they said I'm a loser. And that's what people don't get to see. They don't get to see that like like if you hit this UV light, this black light, and you see the real person. Like, it's scars, it's struggle, it's dark circles, it's tough, you know. And I just think some people take it for granted when they see I call them pretty people, you know, like they see like all these, because I'm still, you know, subject to the same stuff you guys are. I see all these pretty people out there making it and successful, and they get the brand deals, they get nice cars, and I'm like, oh, I'm not trying hard enough. And then I go to my wife, she's like, you need to literally stop working so hard or you're gonna have a breakdown. I don't know, so just kind of sharing out loud. I'd love to do a video like that one day.
That's dope.
Because that's how I imagine people.
Yeah, I was picturing everything you're saying. I had a similar idea of a man who it's a movie. I have it all written down. The guy, somebody was like, somebody's gonna die or something, or maybe like a kid gets hit by a car, and he witnesses it, and he runs over. He's like, no, like, and he lays hands and starts praying or something like. But he's not aware when he's under that specific type of emotion that he has a superpower, and it's to heal other people, like transformational, like Christ did, right? Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, like, that person is healed or healed of cancer or whatever, and then they're totally healed. And, oh my God, he has a supernatural gift. And that's like, you know, the beginning of the movie starts out all dramatic. And then, but he goes home, everything's fine, but then he ends up doing it again. Like, he heals somebody else on a subway train, has a heart attack, and he puts his hand on their chest, and they're healed, and the paramedics show up, and he's fine. But then he goes home and he looks in the mirror, and all of a sudden his hair's turning gray. He's like, why is my hair turning gray? I'm only 30. And then it happens again, and all of a sudden his hair starts falling out, and he's got wrinkles under his eyes. And the more people he saves and lays hands on, he can't help it because he wants to help people. All of a sudden now he's turning old. All of a sudden, like, one of his teeth fall out. And what happens is he's literally, his aging process is speeding up at 10 times the speed because he's giving his own life force to do it. But he's Does that make sense?
100%.
So, and in the movie, you know, by the time he's like 40, but he's an old man and he's dying, but he's literally saved like, you know, 25 people's lives or whatever. But those people went home, and it shows the backstories of them going home to their families and, you know, hugging their wives and husbands and children,
Totally.
and showing up at their kids' soccer games and musicals, and all the people that it touches, like the butterfly effect.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, this guy realizes at the halfway point in the movie that this is my movie, by the way, guys.
Right.
He realizes what's actually happening, and he makes the conscious choice that he will continue to do this, even though he sacrifices his life, because he's sacrificing himself to help out humanity at large, because he understands how powerful his gift is, and he wants to, you know, to do this, and at the end, he dies in complete peace, dies young, but. And it's like, I think about that stuff, and I have dreams about things like this, and I have my goal is to speak. I can't say who yet. I can't announce it. I just got invited to be the keynote speaker at a massive convention, an industry convention. The keynote speaker,
right?
Keith Kalfas, dog.
I know who it is. You showed me the email. I'm pumped for you, bro. This is a dream come true. I know you were all giddy.
So, I'm going to be on stage in front of 10,000 people in a suit and tie, crying, screaming into a microphone. And I feel like I just know I have been, I never understood this. I really look up to a guy named Brendan Burchard, and this guy said he's been offered national television shows and all multi-million-dollar deals, and he turns them down because it's not aligned with his life's highest calling and purpose. Interesting thing is taking effect. Although I'm making more money I've ever made in my life, and I'm going to make, you know, more money, that's great. My whole life I always thought like it was all about money. Money would make me happy because I was broke as shit. And the truth is, money solves 80% of your problems.
Right.
It really does.
Right.
When you don't have to be in fight or flight mode, worrying about your electricity getting shut off, it frees you up to do your life's higher work. So by all means, build your business, get your clientele locked down, get your money right, hustle your ass off till you can get to a point where you have predictable income coming in.
Right.
And you know, you're paying yourself a paycheck. Do whatever it takes to get all that shit locked down first, because we live in a commercial world, and if you don't have that, you have no options to do anything else. But the next level on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs is what are you going to do next? How you know, build your legacy? How are you going to give back? So, I can see the greatest thing a man can do with his life is to give it away. If you read the book The Way of the Superior Man by David Data, that's just powerful, man. I encourage everybody listening right now, man, start thinking about secondary order thinking. You know, if somebody is presenting an opportunity, because nothing is more powerful than when you become a small business owner and you start to learn the ropes of small business, and you get your little, you know, 10, 20, 30 grand in the bank for the first time, and you're excited, and you start meeting other small business owners. Opportunities will start coming into your life, and people will be like, "Well, you're crazy, man. You can make all this money, or what about what about this?" And then you can get under the spirit of mammon, which is, it's a negative. You could say it's a demonic spirit that literally tells you that just do whatever makes the most money. Like there's people literally redirecting entire careers and doing whole new business ventures only for the sake that they can make money. And that's fucking awesome. You know, that's straight up awesome. But if you're spread all over the place doing 20 different things and none of them make you happy, it's true. I promise you, if you're making $500,000 a year in personal income and you are literally a slave to like 3 different businesses, and you have no time and your family life is falling apart, but yet you're making all this money, how happy are you going to be? I really personally know people who make a lot of money who aren't happy because all they do is make money, but they're not making a difference. So make sure what you do is aligned with something that you're passionate about, or find a way to be more passionate about it. It's like, and you can still have your day business, or just, I know people who build ponds and shit. They love what they do, transforming people's backyards and aquatic sea life. Like I think of that, like there's this dude named Greg Whitstock.
I love Greg.
The
Great
pond
dude.
guy. Dude, so
He's crazy. Greg is so alpha, dude. You think Stan's alpha? I want to see like an MMA fight between Greg and Stan. Like they're just so alpha. Like, you know what I mean? I get around them. I'm just like, you guys can just handle it. He's awesome. Amazing guy. Extremely successful businessman.
So I'm walking with Greg Whitstock, and we're at his Aqua Escape Academy event.
Incredible place.
It's a noise, right? Illinois. And
looks like a Google hangout.
it's dope.
It's incredible. If you've never been, go bang on the door. Tell them that Brian sent you. They'll let you in and give the tour. So
we're for those of you guys that don't know, Greg Whitstock, the pond guy on YouTube, give him a shout out, whatever. Yeah. He's a guy who built a multi-million dollar business installing ponds and water features, and he's the #1 creator of pond products like here and Canada.
Yeah.
And it develops all these training systems and courses where guys can literally add aquatic ponds and water features to their business. And he like invented this whole industry. The guy's
20 products, 20 steps, right?
Yeah.
I still got the whole training in my brain.
But I'm walking. So just so you have some context, I'm walking with Greg, and then it hits me. Oh my God, God has chosen him. And I asked him this, I'm Keith Kalfas is weird. I ask people deep questions when I don't know them well enough. I'm like, do you feel like God like chose you to, because what he does is he brings these beautiful nature of rocks and ponds and waterfalls and koi fish in people's backyards, and it makes people happy as shit.
Mm-hmm.
So think about this. You are literally taking something that happens naturally occurring out in the most beautiful parts of nature that God created, and you're bringing that into people's backyards to bring peace and love into their home, that when they like open up their kitchen window,
Mm-hmm.
this sound of the water flowing like echoes throughout their house, yep. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I feel like God chose you to do this. That's why you're such a powerful person. Because you're creating all this opportunity in the world, and all that you're bringing happiness, and you're bringing what God created. Because human beings, we're so disconnected from nature. Mm-hmm. We live in the suburbs, and everything is like manufactured, and it's an urban environment,
mm-hmm.
right? But like to have a fucking pond in your backyard, I'm not trying to like sell Greg shit. He doesn't pay me to say. What I'm saying is like,
right.
That's a beautiful thing. To take your career and think about if you do landscaping and you install like dude, I did a whole installs for people. We put all like beautiful shrubs and rocks and boulders and like and when it's all done and beautiful flowers planted, and we'll create a walkway and we'll do a landscape job. And the customer's like, oh my God, I love it. Like that's straight up beautiful. So
right. It's self-expression. Well, I see all of your social media and YouTube as well, like an extension of you. Like that old guy in your movie example, which, by the way, that movie needs to get financed. I'll find it. I'll finance it. We'll get Quentin. That guy, he makes incredible movies. Your friend Quentin. I've got to meet him 2-3 times at your events, and amazing dude. So we'll get your movie funded, and that guy's talented.
You're gonna be the actor.
No. Yeah, no, I don't know about that. I am an actor. Everybody calls me an actor, right? So, but I think it's just living out your life, and again, like the hustle of your business is like one compartment to the hustle of like doing your YouTube or your calling, but like I think they're all pretty mixed together. Like the last thing I should probably be doing right now with my time is making a podcast. Like we're all busy, but at the same point, kind of like dude, your movie analogy just is incredible. Like I kind of feel like that guy right now. I'm like, look, I'm just trying to give it away. I'm caught up in my own momentum and hype of just kind of doing all this, where I'm just like, the more I get, the more I want to give away. I mean, financially too. I mean, there's so much stuff we do behind the scenes where I couldn't even care less about the cash. There's so many things I've turned down. We talk about this all the time that I could do to make more money doing this. I couldn't care less. I'm smart enough to monetize the hobby, but I don't know. I just, we probably got to shut it down here because we're going over time, and we're actually going to do another podcast here with me on yours, the Untrapped podcast. But dude, I just want to say, like, for real, like this has been an incredible time. Having you on the podcast. I know so many people, like I always say, like your just your branding, your videos, your messaging, it speaks like to a different layer. It speaks to like a different, like the spirit. I'll just call it a spade. Like you're talking to like the inner man when I watch your videos all the time. Yeah, there's X's and O's, and yeah, like some of your early videos were more like mechanics. Like here's how you prune a shrub, and here's how you make $800 in 2 minutes. Like I like those videos, and those were great, But like a lot of your videos too, you answer a lot of like problems. Like you're working on people's brains and their hearts, and I think it's I don't know. This isn't lip service. I just tell you sincerely, like It's so cool to have you on the podcast, just to even have you as a friend. There's so many things that you've done behind the scenes. I've told people and whatnot, and people will never know. They'll never know, but so many things like you and Stan have your fingerprints and thumb on behind the scenes on so much stuff that I've been able to do. Like, it's so cool to have you on the show, dude. Like, I'm really, really thankful. So I know a lot of people listening to this are too.
You're welcome, sir.
We'll shut it down there before I get emotional, because when I'm tired, I get emotional and then I cry because I'm a softie. So, all right. Well, hey, really quick before we wrap up, in case people that are living under a rock don't know who you are and they know more of you now, where can they go down the rabbit hole of Keith Kalfas? Do you get 10 seconds? You can plug everything where people can find you.
Yeah, just go to YouTube, type in my name, Keith, Keith, Kalfas, Kalfas, or KeithKalfas.com.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can find me anywhere if you type my name. It pops up all over on Google. And the Untrapped podcast, if you're a podcast listener like this show, right? We're on a podcast, just UNTRAPPED.
Mm-hmm.
It's on all platforms. Or you go to KeithKalfas.com/podcast, and you can pick the platform you want to listen to.
Cool.
And you can check out my podcast. Tons of episodes on there.
I love it. All right, dude, we're signing off. Any last words? Any last thoughts?
No, I want you guys listening right now, thanks so much for spending this time, and I wish you the best of success in your personal, your professional life, with your family, with your creator, with your mindset, and just realize that there's nobody who hasn't gone through anything that you haven't gone through before, and all of your life's hopes and dreams and everything that you want, it can happen. And if you're going through a hard time, don't be so hard on yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. That's what I want to say.
All right, guys. We're wrapping up. Awesome. Beautiful. All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks again for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. We really appreciate you guys listening. If you guys haven't left a 5-star review on this podcast or even this episode in general, just do us a big solid. It really helps the podcast, and we really appreciate you guys. So, all right, guys, that's it. We'll catch you on the next episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. We'll see you guys.
Yeah, dog.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.